network least busted name in news. And okay, I'm actually, it's not the daily space weather, but we might be doing daily lives. It could become a thing. So, thanks to everybody who's been seeing the lives on your feeds. That's always nice. Um, it always helps to see when your favorite channels go live. And thanks for tuning in, leaving comments, and so on. So today we'll talk about Ricky and Bubbles, I guess. There's Ricky. You're live on YouTube, Ricky, and there's Bubbles. And there's James T. Kirk, and he is levitating. So yeah, he is doing a tail stand right now. He's got his tail over here, and then he's planking, and he wants you to know all about it, because James T. Kirk is a superstar. So yeah, what's going on? I mean, do we have more sunspots than yesterday or less sunspots? I don't know. I haven't looked since yesterday, and that's partially because I'm not really worried about the apocalypse, since our finest days lie ahead. I'm not concerned in the slightest about the apocalypse. The apocalypse, doomsday, the end times, whatever you're gonna spookily call it, just not spooked, not frightened. And please pardon me while I convert. I gotta convert the desk. Yeah, gotta convert the desk, because these live streams are done off the cuff with no plan. No, no devious and evil plan whatsoever. We won't try to enslave you or get you to move to a cult compound. It's one of the many benefits of our channel. Yes, no cult compounds will be built to support these videos. Can't believe I got to say that. Yeah, that's a thing. And yes, I apologize for my spur of the moment activities, but these things have to happen. So cheers. I got to lose the hat. They're not paying me to wear that, so it doesn't get worn. All right. So yeah, what do you think about logos, folks? What do you think about logos? I want to know what you think about logos, so let us know in the comment. We put logos on stuff for a reason, as you can see. Anyway, hold on a minute. I'm still in the process of converting my desk. It's a sit-down desk, and I want a stand-up desk, so bear with me a minute here. And thanks for leaving a comment, Josh M. Yes, Josh M. Cheers. Yeah, cycling. That's a good comment. I don't know what it means, but what about cycling? I've been a living billboard since 1999, so that's that's part of my basis for talking about cycling. And yes, I've got my camera at a high angle here, so that it makes me look submissive. It makes me look less aggressive, right? That's something that I spend a lot of time doing, looking less aggressively. Because of all the things in life, folks, one of the most crucial ones is not being a dick. Not being a dick. Yeah, that's a good one, right? Ask Brian Johnson about that. Brian Johnson, this longevity dude who's saying don't die and it's controversial? Yeah. Don't die is controversial. So, what is he saying now? He said cycling. So, Josh, hope you're a cyclist. That's all I can say. I hope you're a cyclist, and at least you recognize that those are cycling jerseys. I guess that's pretty easy. Zoe Artegues says, I don't know. Hi. Universe Queen 85 says, Nike has a cool logo. And yes, logos mean a lot, right? Branding is super important. Why? Because it's symbolism. Yes, symbolism. So, anything like anything from a military unit patch to, the branding of your local corner store, right? There should be some symbolism involved. That's why it is what it is. That's why this jersey is what it is, right? This is completely designed by moi, and there's symbolism behind it. This part here with the hexagons, that represents the solar nucleons. That's helium and hydrogen. You know, the main thing that the sun is made of, it's like 73% hydrogen and 24% helium or something like that. 23%, something. Then you've got the chromosphere, the transitional region between the photosphere and the corona. Then you've got the corona, which gets hotter as the material in the corona appears to be at higher temperatures than the material at the upper corona, like the K corona, contains hotter material than the lower corona. All right, I think I've broken that down properly. So if any science nerds tune in, you won't be correcting me in the comments. I wouldn't want to trouble our viewers to have to correct me about stuff like that. Yes, the material in the K corona appears to be hotter than the material in the lower corona. All right, so yeah, what's going on with the sun? Well, I'll tell you. It's got sunspots, quite a few actually, which is nice, especially nice for us. Although the sun still does stuff even if it's at solar minimum. So yeah, you definitely shouldn't be spooked of it, whether it's at solar minimum or at solar maximum. The sun it's always doing things. There are coronal mass ejections happening all the time, regardless of whether we have an active sun or an inactive sun. Doesn't really matter. There is still plenty of stuff going on. Yes, of course, there's less stuff going on at solar minimum because you don't get many sunspots. Oftentimes, months and months with 0 sunspots. So that's a thing. Right now we've got, all right, so we have less sunspots than yesterday. I don't know if some set or some fizzled out, but we're down to down below 150 now to about 138, 137. I'll say 137. 137 sunspots. Radio flux has also declined. It is now at, and sunspot number, by the way, doesn't require units. It's literally a count of the sunspots. However, the radio flux requires units. Would anybody like to share what the radio flux units are? They're solar flux units, or SFU. And yeah, it's a measure of radio flux density. A solar flux unit is equivalent to 10,000 Jansky, I believe, which is a measurement of radio flux density through a vacuum. And yes, space isn't a perfect vacuum. Yes, I know there's stuff in space. If there wasn't stuff in space, then space weather wouldn't be a thing. So, yeah. So yeah, radio flux and sunspot number are both down. Solon.info looks like it's showing sunspot number up, and Royal Belgian, the Belgians are going to be ahead of the curve here. It's too early for the stuff to be correct. All right. Yeah, what do we got? Comments. I mean, Universe Queen 85. Yeah, people can copy your stuff and get a lot of money for it, depending on what your stuff is, right? There's a proportionality there. So the more expensive the brand is, the more expensive the products, and the more valuable the company itself is, the more dangerous that becomes. If it's a tiny company, then it's not really that dangerous because their lawyers are not like the same as like Walmart's lawyers, right? It would be really, really ill-advised to start selling stuff with Walmart's. I mean, I can't imagine anybody ever doing such a ridiculous thing, like selling products that are, Walmart's logo or something like that. But just think of the biggest companies. Like, don't sell Tesla shirts. That would be, oh God, that would be pretty fail. But you know what? Probably nothing would happen on that one because Tesla would probably say, well, it's free advertising, and we certainly need it since we're relying on robo-taxis for our bottom line. But I digress. So let's see. Earth is just moving across a current sheet. So there is a current sheet approaching, folks. Guess what it's going to do? Not cause doomsday. It's going to cause the opposite magnetic polarity in the heliosphere, a very weak magnetism that Earth experiences. But as a planet, it's a big magnetic field. It's just not a strong magnetic field. In fact, it's so weak you can't measure it from Earth, which is why it's measured at L1, Lagrangian point 1, where the ACE and Discover spacecraft are located. You can find this in the BTBZ. The BTBZ is a measurement of the solar magnetic fields. That's the orientation and the vertical component of the magnetic field and the magnetic field strength, the magnetic field intensity itself. The density of the field itself is the BT, that's the total field, and then the BZ is the vertical component. Like the extent to which it's basically the directionality of the field on the vertical plane. The Z component being part of the BZ, that's the Cartesian coordinate system, X, Y, and Z. All right, so yeah, there's a current sheet coming. It'll be here before tomorrow, I suspect. As Earth crosses into a north magnetic sector. Is it because Mercury's in retrograde yet? Well, no. I mean, planetary orbits are not determined by magnetic field flux, and that's not how planetary orbits work. But we'll save that for a different video. So yeah, Mercury's still in retrograde, folks. And please don't base your cryptocurrency decision-making on planetary alignments. All right? That's not what determines what moves crypto. It's not what determines what moves the stock market. There are a lot of variables, and the planets are probably not really too involved there. One would hope. If you're going to run a business, you would hope that your share price is not determined by the position of Saturn and Neptune. Earth is, by the way, later this year, Earth is going to swing right past Saturn and Neptune. There will be a direct alignment of Neptune, Saturn, Earth, and the Sun. And even the Moon will be in there a couple of times. Oh my God. Saturn, Neptune, the Sun, the Moon, and the Earth all in a line? Whoa! Get in your bunkers. Get your bunkers ready, folks. Let me give you some idea of when this is going to happen. I'm just going to advance my theplanetstoday.com. Oh, I can't go far enough ahead. So it'll probably be like, I don't know, the end of September, mid-September, or something like that. That's when there'll be a nice run at all the doomsday bunkers. You'll have the ability to sell some MREs at a massive markup there through September, because people will be convinced that this time when Earth goes past Saturn and Neptune, that it's going to be spooky. The dead will rise, dogs and cats will live together, total chaos, and yeah, I mean, who knows? Oh my God, Neptune and Saturn. Whoa. Spooky. All right, what else do we have? Weather. What about a little bit of weather in the U.S.? I'll get to news stories here in a minute, but let's see. U.S. weather. Let's check that out. Headed to if you'd like to follow along, as I'm not sharing my screen, weather.gov/radar. Wait, no, radar.weather.gov. That's what you want. And it looks like Wilmington, North Carolina is about to get plastered with even more Geez, that place must be a mess. I'll bet it's jacked up down there. It's probably flooded. I mean, we've had major floods in Pennsylvania. I know Reading, PA, which is like 20 minutes down the road from here, uh, had some like waist deep water at gas stations and things. So yeah, we got absolutely kaplastered, and now we've got this cold air rushing through. So we're gonna have, I heard, a forecast high of 71 Fahrenheit today in eastern PA. We're located in Lehigh Valley, by the way. If you're new to the channel, that is where we are located. And if you've got questions about weather, whether it's earthly or space-based, just type a comment and I might even answer your question. So yeah, we've got a bunch of cold Canadian air right now. So there's some dry massive air, and it's creating massive pressure gradients over northern Pennsylvania right now. And it's going to be moving to the east because it is a function of the jet stream. Let me get a better animation here to give you a little bit of a better idea of where that cold air is headed. If you're in the mid-Atlantic or New England states, this will be relevant to you. We've got, yeah, some cold, massive air there. It's coming from due north, so it's basically subarctic air from Canada. And yeah, I mean, it was quite nice out this morning. I'm always a little bit disappointed when the hottest days are gone, and we're only about 2 weeks from that now. The likelihood of a 100-degree day will remain in eastern PA for another about 2 weeks, and then after that, the likelihood rapidly drops off. So yeah, it's August already. I mean, I can't believe that. It's insane. This has been like one of the fastest summers that I've ever seen. It was, I mean, like it always is. The solstice always shows up just bam, all of a sudden it's June 20th or something like that, and you're like, whoa, the sun's already reached its peak. Wow. I mean, you got to plan your spring for this. You know what I'm saying? Like when summer arrives, the sun is already losing. It's it's getting lower in the sky every day once you hit the solstice. So, and by the way, if you're wondering why it gets hotter for months, it's because of the heat latency of water. All right, water doesn't like to give up heat. That's why your hot water tank is a tank, because it heats up the water in the tank and then it sits there hot and it doesn't really have to do very much. Water holds on to heat. It has a very high heat latency. That is why areas that are around the ocean, like Cape Cod, let's say you're in Cape Cod, right? Or let's say you're on Nantucket or something like this. These areas, they're controlled by ocean temperatures. Water radiates a lot of heat. Water is a really rowdy thing. It does a lot of stuff. And the heat latency of water is why the hottest part of the summer is between mid-July and mid-August. That's all. So yeah, and as you go up to the Arctic, you've got places there where the sun never sets. So it gets really hot up in those northern areas. Yeah, you got to explain this to people, because there's somebody yelling at a plane contrail right now. There's somebody who saw a plane contrail and they're mad about it. And that is just, you just have to go, huh? Let me check out the world map here. Ah, yes. Summer feels like it's over, and it's always kind of sad when that happens. This morning, went for a little walk, and it was kind of cold out, really, because of that cold Canadian air that's been pushing through. Douglas Ant says, water is like gravity. Water is definitely not like gravity, really, in any way. Gravity is like, I mean, it's not even a force. It's a warping of space-time. So, no, water is completely unlike gravity. It couldn't be less like gravity. Like it's not even a force. Like definitely nothing like gravity. Water has a lot of gravity though, because it's pretty massive. All right, yes, please explain. you're, you're gonna have some trouble coming to grips with that one. I'm sure it'll make sense. I trust our viewers until they prove otherwise, right? I mean, that's the way it is, folks. You gotta assume good intentions, right? Like, don't assume somebody's lying until they've proved that they're a pattern of lies. Once you're a pattern of lies, then you're done. Your credibility's gone. Just like move out of the country or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's you shatter your credibility. Good luck getting it back. Ask many YouTube creators about this. You know, they do stupid things, they go on a downward spiral, and next thing you know, nobody's watching their channel anymore. That's a very unwise thing to do. So the day that I stop calling them like I see them is the day that we stop making content. This guy's typing a book about why water is like gravity and then realizing that there's a character limit on the comments. So we do have a tropical system here that's heading across the Pacific. I mean, it's just kind of going out in the middle of nowhere here, like 1,000 miles off the coast of Baja California. So that's a thing. Let's see what's going on, and let's check out the Saharan dust. All right, the Saharan dust is still chilling. It's just about to make it to Puerto Rico. So shout out to Peter Schiff. Yeah, Peter Schiff, one of the best channels on YouTube. An economic literate. Like, you should totally watch Peter Schiff. And, you know, we hope that you've been taking his advice up to this point on investing. But in any case, shout out to Peter Schiff. You've got some sweet sunsets coming. At least tonight should be pretty good. And it's all thanks to Saharan dust, which, by the way, helps tamp down tropical systems, if you weren't aware. Yeah, tropical systems are damaged. Their convection shut down often because of Saharan dust. In fact, we've used it on the channel to explain why the forecast is wrong. If the forecast model doesn't have the dust in it, guess what? The forecast model screws up if a tropical system gets inundated with massive amounts of Saharan dust. That's not beneficial for convection. It is a liability for the storm's strength. All right, what else can we talk about here? What else is going on? We're going to do news stories, like regular old everyday news stories. All right, I can handle that. So if you've got news stories you want to talk about, any kind of news, I don't care what it is, leave a comment and we may mention it. I'm just sharing the live stream here on the Facebook. And yeah, hit us up in the comments if you've got a news story you want to cover. So let's start with finance, because my main concern for the U.S. remains the economy. That's only going back until 2001, though. You know, up until then, the economy was doing things. But starting 2001, a lot of things went wrong. There were a lot of problems that happened. And that was when I realized that the country's biggest problem is the economy. That's why I don't like economic illiteracy. It makes me very uncomfortable. And so those kind of like economic illiteracy arguments online, I enjoy those because there is a lot of economic illiteracy. So CNBC, the slanted financial news. Here we go. All right. So I think I remember talking about this a couple days ago. Trump unleashes sweeping new tariffs in a blow to global trade. Making global trade blow is Donald Trump. New tariffs ranging from 10 to 41%, and they're arbitrary. So, and just if you're wondering what my stance is on tariffs, here it is. It's very simple. Tariffs harm the U.S. economy. Why? Because it is a consumer-driven economy, a consumer-driven service economy. Tariffs harm consumers. Therefore, the economy is harmed by tariffs. Tariffs harm consumers. Consumers are the economy. They spend less money on stuff. The economy is harmed because of the tariffs. The tariffs cause more jobs to be lost than they cause to be created, and they only benefit a tiny minority of special interests, like friendly companies, friendly organizations, friendly corporations mainly are benefited by the tariffs. So like they might make one company more profitable and the entire rest of the sector less profitable. Like the planet is a global economy. Acting like we can just say, "Oh, everybody gets like what? Why would everybody have tariffs?" You're just like those costs get passed on to the end user of the thing that has the tariff. So if you want higher prices, less choices in the marketplace, less competition, and lower quality, then you're all for tariffs. For everybody who's like, oh, the tariffs are so great. Oh, such a great idea. Yes, tariffs. Does anybody remember when we had a bicycle shortage back in 2020 and a bicycle parts shortage in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023 and 2024 and 2025? Yeah, it's still going on. It's still pissing us off because we have like less choices. Do you think that Shimano is just going to magically start making extremely complex bicycle components in the US because there are tariffs? What? You think a factory just appears out of thin air because somebody arbitrarily placed a tariff on stuff from Taiwan, Japan? I mean, I don't know. China probably makes some of Shimano's stuff, right? Like you get the stuff made where it's the most efficient to make the stuff so you can offer the lowest prices to your custies. Watches underscore too much underscore YouTube says deals being made from tariffs are ones that benefit the regime's friends. Exactly. You're playing favorites as a government official. You're playing favorites and pay to play in the marketplace. That's extremely unethical. What? Like how who's okay with that? It's okay, now Douglas, you've said something really ridiculous. Water is part of the simulation. I was just commenting because no one else was. Well, thanks for commenting. However, there is no simulation. So the simulation that everybody believes in because they're Elon Musk cultists and Elon Musk is nuts and has a wisdom score of like 3 of 18. Simulation, not a thing. Like, what? What simulation? You think you live in the Matrix? Like, you think there's a thing plugged into your spine and you're like in a cubbyhole somewhere and you're like living on ground up dead human? What are you talking about? Like, okay. So I guess you're Neo. You must be Neo. You've been red pilled. Congratulations. Yeah, we're living in a simulation. What? Whose? Why? What computer? What are you talking about? Yeah, oh, when people make computer programs, they get increasingly sophisticated to the point where they'll just make an entire universe or multiverse or multiverse of multiverses. Like, what? What is that? It's like you might as well believe in unicorns and leprechauns if you believe in a simulation. It's idiotic. It's your brain playing tricks on you. Your brain does stuff. And like, you know, like you're like, "Ooh, I had a breakthrough." And sometimes you're an idiot and you go, "Oh, I had a breakthrough about a thing." And then you like try to figure the thing out and you discover that it's not a breakthrough at all. It's a stupid idea. Speaking of stupid ideas, let me explain one, right? I've got a great one for you here. So many of you may remember a couple of years ago, I was saying, I think I figured out how the solar cycles, like the mechanism that drives the solar sunspot cycles, right? And Eugene the Philosopher, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, Eugene the Philosopher, yeah, with a T. It's some kind of a nod to Frank Zappa or something. I don't know. But anyway, my pal from Belarus, Mr. Eugene Bagashov, was charged with debunking my theory. And I paid a little cash, and because I knew that he would be able to do the work rapidly as opposed to me, it would take me like a month to do a thing that this guy can do in like a day. So I'm like, here's the hypothesis, figure it out. And he's like, nope, there's a reason why nobody thinks this, and it's because all of the data points to it being incorrect. And I'll even explain what it was. I mean, some of our viewers already knew about this because the people that were paying us to make content, they got to find out about it, right? Like if you left a super chat, I would definitely address your comment. But when people were paying us for subscription services and stuff, we would roll out stuff before anybody else. They would get the first everything. And the theory was that cosmic ray flux is running the solar sunspot cycles via coronal holes. The cosmic ray flux causes the coronal holes, and then like that drives the sunspot cycles, because the sunspot cycles are driven by coronal holes, which change places every solar cycle, right? The solar polar fields, we have north and south pole oriented coronal holes. They migrate across the sun during every solar cycle. And I thought, maybe it's cosmic ray flux. We wouldn't be able to see the cosmic rays. We'd have to use other stuff to figure out if the cosmic ray flux is causing it. However, cosmic ray flux measured on Earth lags solar activity by about 5 months, which is an indication that it's the solar plasma propagating out through the entire solar system that mitigates the cosmic ray flux. Not like direct stuff on the sun. It's literally like a function of how much plasma it puts out. So like you could probably apply a mathematical equation to an estimate of how much material is blown out via CMEs during the solar cycle. And you could probably make a prediction for cosmic ray flux. If you have a cycle, like you could have a cycle that has a lot of sunspots and doesn't really have a lot of coronal mass ejections. That could be a thing, right? You may see like low flaring for a cycle. Who knows? We've only been measuring most of this stuff since the 70s. I mean, we only just discovered coronal holes in the 1970s. And the solar polar field migration and stuff, if you can't see it happening, you don't know it's happening. So anyway, Douglas Ant wants to know, is a star a being? So many of your ancestors just took it for granted that the sun is a conscious entity. And if you look at what's going on sort of on the inside and the outside of the sun, I mean, maybe it's a giant brain. Maybe part of it is a giant brain, and it's like, who knows? Who knows? I mean, you can't rule out the possibility that a star is conscious. It's a very strange idea. If it were, how would you communicate with it? You can't rule out the possibility that a star is conscious, or that a galaxy is conscious, or that the whole universe is conscious. But chances are your coffee's not conscious. So yeah, new tariffs will be a blow to global trade. They will cause everybody's economy to be slightly worse because it's a tax. Taxes do not stimulate the economy, folks. I know a lot of maniacs out there might think taxes are an investment in the economy. Taxes are an investment in the government, which is a waste of dollars that could be in the productive economy, doing something useful for people. No, I'm not an anarchist. I don't want no government at all to exist. However, I would like it to remain within its constitutional limitations, please. I guess that's probably not going to happen. What do you think? I mean, Douglas, right? Do stars really rule the universe, though? Um, the galaxy, everything in the galaxy orbits Sagittarius A star. So, are you saying Sagittarius A star is a star? Because it would seem that the sun doesn't rule the universe, right? There are much bigger stars, hotter stars, stars that are orbiting other stars at 600 kilometers a second. So wouldn't it be more logical to say, well, maybe supermassive black holes rule the universe? Okay, but then you got to think that through to its logical conclusion, right? Which would be, but what happens when a galactic merger happens? Is that just a galactic marriage? Like what? I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe they rule the universe. Could be. There could be some kind of mechanisms of control there that are not evidently visible to us. You wouldn't really know because, well, if they were not evidently visible to us, then you wouldn't know, right? Anything that you can't detect, like a simulation. I hate the simulation theory so much. It's just so idiotic. And like the basis for what people call evidence, like just because Elon Musk said it, that doesn't make it evidence. Okay, Elon Musk can say anything, and he does. He says untrue stuff constantly, misleading investors, being forced to step down as chairman of the board of Tesla for misleading investors about taking Tesla private and having the funds secured and trying to manipulate the price of Bitcoin and trying to manipulate the price of Dogecoin and lying about fully self-crashing coal-fired vehicles and so on. Like, once there's a pattern of fraud, like, how are you going to believe somebody? You can't unless you're a gullible fool. So, like, Elon Musk saying, oh, a simulation is probably what's going on. That's not evidence of anything. That's evidence of a madman who believes in a ridiculous hypothesis. I hate it. It's so stupid. Like, bad ideas. You're allowed to hate those. I don't hate the people with the bad ideas, just the bad ideas. To quote, I'm not sure who it was, somebody in the Wu-Tang Clan, bad ideas, sad eyes and tears. I think that's the Jizza, the genius. One of the best freestylers of all time, by the way. All right, what else do we got? I'm not even looking at Twitter. Well, maybe I'll look at Twitter. All right, let's see what's trending, shall we? We'll see what's trending on Twitter. A brand destroyed by Elon Musk. Who doesn't know what a brand is? What the hell? How does Elon Musk not know what a brand is? X is not a brand. Like, what the hell? X is a letter, not a brand. And it can't be a brand, ever. It's berserk. All right, what do we have? Islamic Jihad putting up some videos. Declassified annex details Clinton's 2016 election roll. Yep, standard crap on Twitter. This is what it thinks is for me. Let's see what's trending. Trey Lance in sports. Happy Friday, folks. Congratulations, you've nearly survived another week. Thanks for tuning in, all two of you. Whoever the other one is. Oh, now we got 0. All right, what else do we have here? Going to close this thing out in a moment. Looking at a less popular news source. And on a related note, I've started using Yahoo as a search engine. So now I use Google and Yahoo. I used to use DuckDuckGo, and DuckDuckGo is now not acceptable. It's not good. So I don't use it. It suffers from the same problems that Google suffers from. And that is that they've created a bidding war to get to the top of the search results. So a lot of times, depending on what you search for, you'll get a bunch of results that are full on spam, and you'll get results that are like sponsored results for like a whole page, and you're like, what is this crap? Or and sometimes you got to go 12 pages deep to find something that's very specific that you searched for that you know exists, but it's buried because it's popular enough that a bunch of entities have paid Google to get higher on the search results list. And like, that's a problem. That messes up the internet. It's incredible that the company who has the most data just recklessly ruins the internet. I mean, Google relies on the internet, and they've done more to harm the internet than anybody else. It's bonkers. They own like 60% of Earth's servers, and they do stuff like, I mean, what they do on search and on YouTube. Like, Google's behavior is just, they can't even make an app that works. What the hell? Like, there's not one app that is bug free. Tell me an app that's bug free, and I'm going to say, is it open source? And if you say no, I'm going to say it's not bug free, because the apps for your smart device, they are not designed to do what their purported purpose is. The apps on your smart device are in order to spy on you, gather data, and send it to Chinese and Indian merchants to use as shopping data so that they can figure out. Because see, this is the insane mindset. Okay, one, engagement is more important than functional software, so the software wastes your time on purpose. Two, the shopping behavior of Americans and Western Europeans and so on is nothing like the shopping behavior of people in China and India. So a lot of the data they're gathering is worthless. Collecting data on like where I stop scrolling on Facebook, and like where I stop scrolling on YouTube, and like how many seconds I like look on a thing, and they've got a lot of data, but can they do anything with it for the most part? No. Becca Wecca 916 says, that's why I've switched to using ChatGPT for most things. I mean, yeah, like ChatGPT is just basically like a book report on an internet search. So like, it's not wrong to do that, right? Because all it's doing is it's like searching all of the search engines, and all of the articles that it can find that are about that and stuff. But what it's basically doing is it's just like really hardcore Googling whatever you asked it, and trying to use its large language model to like copy paste together what amounts to a book report about it. The problem is that if everything on the internet about a certain thing is nonsense, then you're going to just get a nonsense response. It's very strange, and they all have different quirks. So ChatGPT's AI is different from Yahoo's AI, is different from Gemini, is different than Grok 3. I mean, so like at work, when I typically use AI at work, the boss and the boss's boss, they use ChatGPT. I think they pay for it. And I use Gemini and Grok 3, and we basically always get the same results, right? So yeah, that's like, it's pretty good, because when you're using multiple AIs to sort of ask the same questions, just copy paste the same question in multiple AIs, you'll largely see the same answer. I mean, sometimes you get some nonsense there, but for the most part, you get pretty consistent responses, and that's generally a good thing. I mean, not always. If you're trying to make a scientific breakthrough or something, if you're trying to refute an existing science principle, like a theory that's like a well-accepted theory, you're trying to disprove that, AI is not going to help you with that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be in an in-depth conversation. And if you get in-depth conversations with AI, it's less unreasonable than some people. So, there are alternative theories as to what stars are made of. And I'm not going to get too into it, because this last stream isn't for that purpose. All right, so what other news stories do we have here? Here I'll divulge the source. I'm on Yahoo News right now, and I won't use much, because most news stories I don't care about. Some dude got arrested in Arkansas for some park slayings, which is a little creepy because I spend a lot of time in parks. Parks are totally sweet, and the Lehigh Valley is one of the best places for parks in the world. So if you're gonna, if you want to do a, if you want to do a like stay and ride your bike vacation, wow, the Lehigh Valley is freaking bonkers. We're like less than an hour from both Philly and New York. The real estate values are skyrocketing to the point where I can't tell you where I'm going to move to because it's really turning into a problem. The real estate values in Lehigh Valley are insane. I mean, like I saw a condo listed. It's a 3-bedroom condo. They're nice condos, but they're Cracker Jack boxes. You know what I mean? Like they're not well made. They're nice condos, but it's a condo. Like how good can it be? You don't own your own roof. Like what the hell? 300 grand. 300 grand for a 3-bedroom condo. I mean, you don't have to cut the grass. I guess that's a benefit. But you have to follow the rules of the HOA in the development and oh geez. Like if I wanted to put up hot pink curtains or something, or if I wanted to put up chrome curtains, I wouldn't be allowed to do that. They have to be either like white, tan, brown, gray, or something. I don't know. I can't stand it. Like it's horrendous. Yeah, and the rents are totally bonkers. So yeah, I have no choice but to buy real estate. I'm probably gonna build one of those like science nerd houses where you like see it on YouTube and you're like, yo, this dude built a house out of nothing but nail clippings and tampon wrappers. He built his whole house out of nail clippings and tampon wrappers. And he changed his name to MacGyver. I don't know why. It's very strange. Did you ever feel like your life is held together with dental floss and bubble gum? Well, here's some more news. China is held together by dental floss and bubble gum. I'll close out the video by saying this. A lot of people are spooked of China, right? Everybody's got to have a mechanism for the end times. Oh no, doomsday is going to be because Putin's going to nuke Ukraine. China's going to invade the US West Coast while Russia invades the US East Coast. Oh no, I'm so spooked. China is a paper tiger, and the only thing that China should be frightened of is China. It's unable to get out of its own way no matter what it does. It's painted itself into a massive corner like oh so many unwise and irresponsible humans have individually. And China is China's biggest threat. China's not a threat to you. China's a threat to China. China can barely hold itself together. China is a series of extremely corrupt vassal states that who knows what they're all doing. But the overreach, like China's a great example of what the US could become and is trying its best to become. So there's that. I mean, like the government, like the national government of China is just like it's not able to do what it wants to do. You know, it is able to exert massive control over certain things. But ultimately, probably the best bet for China is for China to shrink, because then you can have like a really steadfast communist enclave with like North Korea and China as great communist neighbors, just to show everybody else in the world what not to do, and let the rest of those places self-govern, because they have far too many people and far too many resources that it is just impossible to try to keep the kind of tight grip that China is trying to keep on China, on the the landmass of China. So it's extremely tenuous and weak. We saw it get shattered by 2020. I mean, that's probably a wound that will never heal. because China would have lost faith in its institutions the same way Americans lost faith in our institutions. And I mean all of them, all the way from the family to colleges and everything in between. Uh, Literally everything. I mean, employers sort of showed their true colors as to whether they're like acceptable as employers. And I mean, every institution was undermined. So, like, that was the most interesting thing that happened in 2020. Credibility was hurt. I'll just say that. So yeah, what else do we have here? Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett sold a bunch of Bank of America. He sold 39% of Berkshire Hathaway's stake in Bank of America, and he's getting into what? And guess what? There's been a cumulative gain in Berkshire's shares. So that's not too surprising. Warren Buffett, a real investor. Is he an economist? No. No. But he has the features of one, and he understands enough of the economy that he's pretty good. Dubbed the Oracle of Omaha. If you haven't heard of Warren Buffett, then you don't know about investing. Bo knows Warren Buffett. You know, Bo Jackson. Guaranteed Bo Jackson knows Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett probably never even had to get his hips replaced because he was too strong for his own skeleton. All right, so what did he do? Selling activity in Apple. What did he? The headline suggests that he bought a different banking stocks or something. So it turns out the stake of Bank of America, which was taken in August 2011, Bank of America's common stock was valued at 62% discount to its book value. So he bought it as a value stock, and then he held it for 15 years and then he sold it, right? Because that's what Warren Buffett is. He is a value investor. He doesn't want to buy the next hottest thing. He wants to go long on things. And that's why people like his advice, because they don't want to manipulate their 401k every 5 seconds like a crypto sociopath. You know, it's not very fun trying to trade stocks or crypto or bonds or commodities or anything else on a 1-minute basis. It's kind of stressful. If you've ever done it with real money, you would know. I know. I was a day trader in 1999 and 2000 and a little bit of 2001, but not much. Mostly just 99 and 2000. I had to learn how to do something because I was laid up with a snapped tibia. All right, so I could have sworn it said that he picked up something else. He has bought some Sirius XM holdings. I don't know why he would want satellite radio. I guess that'll still continue being a thing. I don't know. He likes Domino's Pizza. Pool Corp, which has cyclical ties, by the way. Pool stock? What does that even mean? Oh, it's literally a pool manufacturer, like a construction company that builds pools. Yeah, that's always going to be a thing. That's not bad. I'm sure it's proportional to the real estate market, right? All right, what else do we have here? Who cares about this? Should you invest 1,000 in pool right now? I don't know. Yahoo Finance is a pretty well-respected. Oh, that's actually an article from Motley Fool. Okay, so that's fool.com if you've never seen it. That's a very well-renowned investing website. Here's one by The Telegraph. Trump's trade war returns America to the 1930s. Yep, the 1930s. Where the government continued the Great Depression. Thank you for that. Made the Great Depression worse and more protracted. There's a live video about Federal Chair Jerome Powell, held a press conference about the interest rate decision because they didn't lower interest rates. I'm sure a lot of people are probably crying about that. And what else do we have? I think that's about it. I think it's about time to close out this stream. So, yeah, anybody else real quick have anything? Because this is about time to shut down. And thanks to everybody who's tuned in. We'll see you soon here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name and news. No major stuff going on with solar activity right now. Things are pretty chill. I haven't seen any chatter about any incoming CMEs. And even if there is one, the end times are not here and our finest days lie ahead. So, like, deal with it. The end times, look, our finest days lie ahead and doomsday prophets just lie. So, see you next time. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash-O-Mash, signing off from the Smash News Network, least busted name in news.